Hey guys, John Lemmy here live for our incredible Conservative Business Journal podcast, news media show. My name is John Lemmy, the founder of Conservative Business Journal and a host of the CBJ Real News Podcast Show. And tonight, I'm excited to bring to you an incredible patriot. We are going to be exposing the evil brigade going on right now in Cuba. A great friend of ours, a great brother, patriot, warrior, educator, historian, tremendous, phenomenal friend of Christy and I, one of our keynote speakers coming up at our We the People Fight Back event, Frank Deverano. I want to bring Frank on right now. Frank, how are you, young man?
I'm fine. Thank you, Brother John and Christy, for again inviting me for a fantastic show. We're very happy to be here tonight with you.
And I'm excited to introduce you to those of you who may have never heard of Frank or seen Frank on my show. He's been on numerous times. He's a consistent contributor to Conservative Business Journal. He shared some incredible wisdom just this week. We're going to unpack. But let me give you just a quick bio of Frank. Frank Deverano was a veteran who, at the age of 17, pay attention, everyone, invaded Cuba at the Bay of Pigs. He was captured and sentenced to 30 years. Wow, 30 years of hard labor. After 2 horrific years in the worst prisons, 1,200 prisoners of war were released following negotiations between the U.S. and the Cuban military dictatorship. Frank returned to the United States, where he became an educator, historian, journalist, writer, phenomenal husband, grandfather, leader, and he loves people of America. He loves his family in Cuba. So, Frank, just kind of share everyone, what's going on right now. And we're going to show some videos. Once again, we're uncensored, no holds barred. And this is one show that you guys come on, you want to share. You want to get this out everywhere. Those of you watching during a replay, you want to share, follow, subscribe. We're going to unpack stuff you won't hear on 99.9% of mainstream. So, Frank, what's happening in Cuba? And thank you for your time tonight.
Sure, John. It's very sad what's happening in Cuba. Actually, it's genocide being committed in Cuba today now. Some of the videos, I think you're going to show some of them tonight, show people being assassinated in the street. A 13-year-old boy from Victoria de las Tunas shot 4 times in the head and assassinated. Another video of a young guy arguing with a military officer dressed in civilian clothes, and then he gets his pistol, shoots him in the head. You see the kid dropping on the street and blood all over the place, bursting into people's home, shooting their husband, dragging them out bleeding, the women screaming, blood on the floor. And one of the worst things that's happening that should be denounced by the United Nations is that they are getting 15-year-old kids, dragging them out of their house. Kids are screaming. They're pulling the kids out and they're forcing them into the military so they can beat the people that are demonstrating this kid. Forcing kids, 15-year-old, to do that. I've seen a video of a kid screaming, the mother screaming, the father screaming, and the military pulling the kid, put him on a truck, give him a club, so that kid is forced to beat up people. These are the horrendous things going on in Cuba today now.
Right. And what I want to do, Frank, is I want to open up with a couple videos, and I want you to unpack this. And guys, this is so important. Make sure, Frank wrote a great article this week. The rebellion in Cuba demands an end to the bloody communist regime. It's on our front page on the Conservative Business Journal. And as we progress in the show tonight, my wife will put it in the chat. And then for those of you that are new to obviously this show, and I want to thank all of you that are sharing the show and our podcast. And this is an area that, we talked about this last night. 99% of people are not addressing this topic right now going on in Cuba, and it is an uprising and upheaval going on. So I want to play this video here quickly, and then we're going to have Frank comment on it. So Frank, share everyone what's going on there. What's happening in that specific one.
Well, that video is from today.
Right.
Even all the shootings in the streets, all the beating up. That is the second largest city in Cuba, in Santiago de Cuba. You see how many blacks are there. It's a mostly black city, predominantly black, and they are demonstrating today, even after all the shootings or the killings or the beatings, and they were marching down the streets of Santiago de Cuba, demanding, say, "Viva Cuba Libre! We want a free Cuba. Libertad, libertad, freedom, freedom." That's what they were doing. And you see how many were doing that. Hundreds were doing that in
And
spite
that's
of all.
you guys know that's today in Cuba.
Today, from today, I
Only
got that video today from Cuba, directly from Cuba.
and they're just it's 62 years of 62 years of total oppression, and the people have had enough, and they're revolting against it. The average wage right now is $20 a month in Cuba. I believe I saw you post.
Yes. Actually, this was an spontaneous rebellion. It started July the 11th on Sunday, this Sunday that just passed, in one tiny little city of Cuba called Santiago de los Baños, which I sent you the article, of course, that you have.
Yep.
And from there, it just spread immediately because at that time they still had internet. Now the internet is not working, but they did have internet in Cuba. So the news spread into 40 cities everywhere. In my own hometown, Camagüey. In Camagüey, where I was born, they captured the head of the Communist Party. They kidnapped him, and I hope they murdered that guy because he
Good.
has disappeared. They turned down police cars. They threw stones at police cars. They looted stores where they cannot buy unless they have dollars. I mean, it's a major rebellion, totally unsuspected by the bloody regime in Cuba because it was spontaneous. Nobody planned it. It just happened. 62 years of oppression. Today, Cuba is worse than Haiti. There is no food. There is no medicine. The water they're drinking is polluted because they have never replaced the sewer system in Cuba. So they have holes. So the excrement gets into the water that people drink. There are some cities of Cuba, 20,000 people like Bauta, with no water, no electricity. They turn off the lights. They don't have enough electricity. Cuba is an absolute disaster. The Chinese Wuhan pandemic, that of course was done by China deliberately. It was not it was a deliberate attack upon the world. I don't believe it was accidental. It was done deliberately by the military lab in Wuhan, done by the Communist Chinese. In Cuba, it's out of control. There is no medicine. The hospitals are not functioning. Many hospitals have no water. The Cuba is an absolute disaster, and the people couldn't take it anymore. They don't have food. Their houses are falling down because there's no Home Depot for you to repair anything. Whatever they repair is a hotel for the tourists that bring dollars to Cuba. So the people couldn't take it anymore. It's like the French Revolution. One day there was no bread, and then just went out and brought down the monarchy of France. Louis XVI, they cut his head, and so did Marie Antoinette, the queen. And that's the French Revolution. I think that's happening in Cuba today. But will they succeed? I don't know. Russia is there, China is there, and we're going to talk about all the weapons later that Russia has given Cuba. So they have a great interest in keeping Cuba in the communist area, so they can have a base 90 miles from the U.S. So if we go to war with Russia, they will destroy us from Cuba. Cuba today is a direct threat to our national security, a tremendous threat. When we get to talk about the article that I sent you on what's happening in Cuba with the weapons that they're getting. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. I think it's genocide. When the horrendous things that are happening, how they're shooting people just walking in the street. There's no food. You have to go out and get some food. Well, they think you're demonstrating. Maybe they shoot you. All you do is want to get some food because you got no food in your home. It's really very sad. And over in Miami, well, there are demonstrations. Wherever there are Cubans in the world, they're demonstrating. In Canada, there are lots of Cubans that live in Canada. They're demonstrating in front of the parliament in Ottawa. They're in Montreal, in Calgary, all over the cities in Spain. Of course, even in the United States, Cubans are all over. We live all over the United States. You have New York, you had Tampa, you had Miami, many cities, wherever there are Cubans, Los Angeles, in New Jersey. Lots of Cubans living in the state of New Jersey. They're demonstrating, and they're very upset because some Cubans have their parents in Cuba. Maybe they have a wife in Cuba they couldn't bring. Maybe they have kids in Cuba that couldn't get out, and they're terrified of their own families. So people are just going crazy here. Some of my friends want to go with guns to Cuba and disembark and fight, which I think is a suicide because the military now is in control of all the cities, and they do have a big navy in Cuba as well. So any landing from Miami of 30, 40 people with guns, they'll be shot on the wall and they'll be killed. So I'm not recommending that they do that, but you don't have no idea. People are telling me I'm going to go to Cuba, I'm going to fight. My sister is there, she's dying. The 6 boats were captured in Miami by the Coast Guard, full of weapons, and they confiscated those boats and they told the people, go home. They didn't arrest them, thank God, but the boats were kept there with the weapons. The Biden administration does not want any Cubans going to Cuba to fight against communism. They will try to detain. Coast Guard already said that you cannot go to Cuba with weapons. We'll stop you, threaten you with even jail. So people here are very, very upset. I'm participating in some of these demonstrations with my wife.
Sure.
I will be going to one tomorrow from 3 to 6 with the American flag, the Cuban flag.
Here, let me make a large screen for you, Frank. Show that. I know you showed that earlier. This is awesome.
Yeah, the Cuban flag, if you see it, it has the same colors as the U.S. flag, red, white, and blue, and 1 star. Because at one point, there were people in Cuba that wanted to become a state of America. So that's why they had the flag that looked like the American flag, and 1 star, meaning that Cuba might be one future state of America. Didn't happen, and then of course you see people all over the place showing our beautiful American flag. I don't know if I have it backwards or not, because this is a flag of freedom. Here you have communists burning this flag, spitting on the flag, but all over the world, this is the flag of freedom. So people in Cuba today, are waving the American flag, the flag of freedom. And so are we in Miami too, and all over the place. So, of course, I can tell you that together with all of these flags, you have people waving flags of Donald Trump, 224, because, of course, we know that the former president did help us a lot with strong sanctions. Here's my little flag that I have, the Trump flag.
No, I think it's important. And you talk about Frank. Someone just asked, "Will Frank be back at our event?" Absolutely. Let me put this in the bottom of the screen. Frank will be live more than ever. We talk about We the People Fight Back event. We're going to have that roundtable of communism, about communism down in Hialeah at the end of this month, but in Naples, Florida, we're going to have one of the greatest educators, historians about obviously what's going on in Cuba, and obviously Julio will be there and your entire team.
Yes.
More than ever, guys, you don't hear this. If you go through, even we said it last night, Chris, if you looked at quote unquote mainstream media, most people not touching this. Why? They were afraid. Like you said, what's going on right now in Cuba, you got family members there. There's no food, no water. They're shutting down the internet. The armed forces address the civilians to infiltrate demonstrators and kill them and shoot them. This is pure out anarchy, tyranny, and it's a result of socialism to communism. You talk about the citizens have no guns, no money, no food, no water. I mean, everyone listening, pay very close attention. I remember Obama was doing the wave. I saw, Frank, you posted that. Obama was with Castro.
Yes.
Brutal. And Biden is just the front for this. And I want to show another video that is kind of expresses just the intensity of what's going on. And then I want you to comment on it, Frank, please.
Sure.
Unprecedented display of anger and frustration in the streets of Cuba on Sunday. Thousands of anti-government rallies in large cities and small towns across the island of 11 million people. Citizens calling for an end to the decades-old communist dictatorship, protesting the island's dire economic conditions, food shortages, and the slow pace of COVID-19 vaccinations. In one area of Havana, protesters clashing with police. Elsewhere, they chanted "repressors" at riot police. Cubans voicing anger over the repression of civil liberties and the handling of the pandemic. amid what many are describing as the country's worst economic crisis in decades. President Miguel Díaz-Canel blaming the United States for the unrest and calling on supporters to take back the streets during a nationally televised speech Sunday afternoon. Social media, still relatively new in Cuba, helping to fuel the demonstrations. The hashtag #SOSCuba taking off on Twitter and shared by celebrities. Here in the U.S., solidarity protests spilling into the streets of Miami and other cities across the country.
Everyone in Cuba is go out on the street. Everybody in Cuba asking for the freedom.
U.S. officials expressing support for the Cuban protesters, and a member of the U.S. State Department tweeting, "We stand by the Cuban people's right for peaceful assembly. We call for calm and condemn any violence."
To make matters worse, the government cut off the internet in Cuba yesterday, and this, of course, made it harder for the international community and those living in more remote.
Frank, even as you watch that and you see some of the fake news part of that, right? And the fake tweet from our. So I want
be calm, right?
Be calm. That's right. See that? And then
spend 62 more years in slavery. That's the Biden administration.
Go, Frank. Let it rip. Go, baby.
Well, I was going to say that our great governor, Ron DeSantis, wrote a letter. I think I sent you that letter, where he asking Biden to put internet in Cuba. We have the ability to do it immediately. We can put satellites over Cuba and restore internet for everybody. And of course, the Biden administration hasn't done that. They have, they make some statements. I don't believe any of their statements because obviously we have the allies of the Communist Democratic Party, Black Lives Matter, who are supporting the communist regime in Cuba, blaming America for the riots in Cuba. And those are the allies of the Communist Democratic Party. 70 Democrats wrote a letter supporting the Cuban regime, killing people. That is a Democratic Party today. It's a communist party. And of course, they're not going to get any help from America.
We have to back up a little bit. We have to unpack that a little bit deeper. Can you share it, everyone can listen to this, and I'll make sure and I'm going to make you full screen in this because I'm going to make sure my team pulls this section when this goes viral. Unpack about what you just stated about some of the Democrats wanting to shut down. Just unpack that a little bit, please.
What I'm saying is that our great governor, Ron DeSantis, he wrote a letter to President Biden asking him to provide internet in Cuba. We have the ability to do that with satellites. We could do it immediately. All he has to do is order that, and then there will be internet all over Cuba. And then the people can communicate. Now they cannot communicate. They don't know what's happening in one city from the other. And that's what the communist mass murdering regime wants. Biden hasn't taken that action, but our governor has asked for that. In fact, the governor said, we can do it in Florida. We don't even need the federal government to do it. In Florida, we can do it. No response from the Biden administration. None. Zero. And then you have all the Anthony Blinken saying all these great things. Yeah, we need to help the people. The people have the right to demonstrate. But who are the allies of the Communist Democratic Party? Black Lives Matter. What did Anthony Blinken do? He put the Black Lives Matter flag in every single American embassy abroad, together with the gay flag. So don't give me false speeches when you are supporting the anarchists and the communists of Black Lives Matter. Is unacceptable. It's shameful to put a Black Lives Matter flag in every American embassy in the world. That's what the Anthony Blinken State Department recently did, together with the gay flag.
I mean, guys, you got to listen to this. This you don't hear this covered. This is why we are the real news. And we're massively censored and suppressed. Those of you that are on Telegram, make sure you do follow me on Telegram. And all you do is just search out CBJ Real News. That's who we are, CBJ Real News. That's my channel. You can comment on there. We actually started a new YouTube channel. We're under the radar here a little bit. So make sure all of you, and you can see that on my Telegram profile. You see my wife chatting in there with YouTube. There's a war for the truth. I mean, right now, this is like you said, Russia, China, the ability to be that close to America with weapons. But I'm believing supernatural breakthrough in Cuba. I'm believing God is going to move. This is a people. I mean, you have family members there that don't have water, food. I mean, they're literally killing them. That's why all we have to realize. That's why you're so strong. That's when we first met a couple of years ago. People asked us, why do we do a Keep It State Red event down in Miami? Why? Because you're all legal immigrants who love America. Like my grandparents who came to Italy, they love America. And Cuba right now, and they've had enough is enough. And I want to show a video of Christy's grandmother. Christy Machine, now this is in Spanish. You have to translate for me. But she just turned 103 years of age, Frank.
Wow.
And it's and she's sitting there. And Christy McLaughlin. What did I say?
Christy.
Oh, Christy McLaughlin, you know, she's 27-year young warrior. She'll be a speaker at our event once again. You met her at We the People Fight Back event. I have to say this again, guys. All of you should be at this event. Just what we're going to learn about Cuba, communism, oppression, what you can do to make a difference. This is real. You talk about a big name speaker. Frank Deverano is a big name. He's going to educate you like never before and give you the inspiration and fire to make a difference. And watch this video. Paki, 103 years. She just turned 103 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Nos fuimos de Cuba con que nos hubieran matado a todos como mataron a mi esposo. La revolución cubana, la revolución, se cogió el gobierno, los comunistas se cogieron el gobierno. Los que no eran comunistas, para afuera. Mi esposo no se metía en política, pero no sé qué le pasaría. Ernesto sí, porque a Ernesto no le gustaba el comunismo, nada. Pero nada, ellos no tenían nada que ver con eso. Y nos robaron la casa. Y me fui, dejé mis prendas. Yo dejé prendas ahí. Dejan cuentas en el banco, no mucho, pero había algo en el banco. Eso desapareció. Por la buena.
Wow. Incredible. She said that they killed her husband. They stole all her property. Well, that happened to my family. My father was a cattleman in Cuba. We were rich in Cuba. We had cattle. We had a 4,000-acre cattle ranch, bank accounts, homes. We lost everything. We came here with not a single penny. But we had the opportunity in America to be loved. I've never thought that I would be poor in America. Even though I was really poor, I knew I would get an education. I would succeed in whatever I study, like my brother and sisters have. And we are all doing very well now, thank God. My brother, sister, we're fine. You know,
how amazing is that?
America is a land of opportunity.
103. How moving is that?
Very moving, very moving. She said they shot her husband. They killed her husband.
Yeah,
is what she
pay
said.
attention to this. That's why in America we're not playing. We fight back. We the people. This isn't a game. You know, this is, you see all the signs of it. You see the beginning. You see the first ingredients of communism. I believe that's why God has given the people of Cuba the power to rise up. And you know, you talk about Governor DeSantis. I'm going to show a great picture of you and Frank, and you and the governor. This was, I believe, yesterday, with you and the governor.
No, it was a while ago, but that's a book I wrote that I gave the governor, talking about what Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden did, which was to turn the entire Middle East to Iran, the entire north of Africa to Al Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood, high treason, dereliction of duty. And I asked the governor, I asked also Rick Scott to ask the president when he was in office to declassify that document called Presidential Directive 11, a treasonous document done by Obama. Unfortunately, he never did it. I think if he had done it, he would be in office today, and we will have Barack Obama, we will have Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden in prison, Samantha Powers and others. They committed high treason, and they got away with that. I was in the White House in September 2020, just before the election. I left books there to the president, and I asked two presidential assistants. I begged them to tell Donald Trump to declassify those documents prior to the election. And also other things that Obama did, like spying on 20 million Americans, including a businessman by the name of Donald Trump, prominent 157 federal judges, members of the Supreme Court, members of Congress. That was done by Barack Obama at the request of Eric Clapper, director of 17th Intelligence Agency, the communist Islamic radical John Brennan, and the FBI director Robert Mueller, a deep state operative. That was done February 9th, 2009, barely 2 weeks in office after he stole the first election with falsifying many ballots with Acorn. He actually, McCain won that election in 2008. He stole it. And then these three people shows up in the White House and said, look, Mr. President, here is a tool. We have a supercomputer in the CIA and the FBI called the Hammer, with a scorecard called, with an application called Scorecard. With this, you can spy on all Americans, find out what they're saying, use the information for blackmail. You know, a lot of these politicians on both parties, particularly Republicans, maybe they done things wrong in the past. Well, how that's common is they use blackmail. And then they tell Republican senators, you know what, we can fire you tomorrow. We'll publish what you did years ago in the New York Times and the Washington Post. And now you're going to work with us. You're going to do what we tell you to do, or we'll get rid of you. So this is how communists work all over the world. And that's how Obama working here in the United States as well.
And in Frank, something that I want you to unpack, and this is we've been building up for this, and everyone listening, pay attention. This is why you have to be involved. You have to be active. And once again, yes, Frank is back for Popular Demand, a keynote speaker at a We the People Fight Back event, a big name speaker. It will impact you, will educate you. You know, and between now and the end of all events, August 20th, August 21st, you know what's going to happen now? Because it's not just going to shut down in Cuba. I believe this is God moving. 62 years of oppression. Now they shut the internet down. It's called Plan Chaqui. I'm not pronouncing it right, obviously. CICQUE. It's something. It's some key points, and it says one of the things that's brutal. It says we shall deploy armed forces dressed as civilians to act as paid demonstrators to incite an armed insurrection. It sounds familiar.
Yes. Well, that's called Plan Cacique. Cacique in Spanish is an Indian chief. So they already anticipated that sooner or later people were going to revolt. So they were prepared. So they have what is called the Plan Cacique. Again, Cacique is Indian chief. And as you're reading, why don't you read the whole plan? Because you have it in front of you. Read it for the audience. Or the plan that they were going to follow. Yeah.
Sure. It says they ought to proceed to shut down electricity, internet throughout the island. Armed forces dressed as civilians to infiltrate demonstrators to repress and detain participants, shut down cities, roads, main arteries, avenues, and highways, deploy special units, block caps, provide support to the Capitol, activate the Emergency Special Communication System, MININT. The order is to wait for the hour of 7:30 p.m. to deploy operations to take advantage of darkness and avoid being recorded. Utilize new repressive technologies and chemical gases that are harmful to disperse demonstrators. The order is to eliminate demonstrations. That's their goal. The order is to eliminate demonstrations and disturbances at any cost today. Double the special personal security detail for our president, prime minister, and other leadership. Proceed to extract and activate the plan for protecting and hiding family members. Verify financial availability of funds and operational bank accounts outside of Cuba. We shall deploy armed forces dressed as civilians to act as paid demonstrators to incite an armed insurrection. This is
and really what I think people ought to do in Cuba. Those oppressors that are shooting people, they got families in Cuba. They have homes in Cuba. I will burn their homes with gasoline. You're killing the people in the street. Well, we're going to burn your house with your family inside. That's what I would do if I were in Cuba. I'd get a can of gasoline and burn their homes. That's how I would respond. But anyway, it's very sad. That's exactly what they're doing. And even worse, from the very beginning, the president of Cuba, never been elected by anybody, he went on TV and asked for civil war, basically civil war. And then he deployed the entire armed forces of Cuba, all the police in Cuba, the elite army unit. Those are called Brigadas de Respuesta Rápida, Rapid Response Brigade. This is an elite troop with the latest weapons, dogs. All of these people were sent to the street to start killing people and to implant terror to see if they can contain the immense revolt all over Cuba in more than 40 cities. So this is what they did, start killing people from the very beginning. It's been happening since July the 11th, and it continues. But you saw the video that we showed in Santiago de Cuba from today. People still in the streets demonstrating in spite of all the killings, because the people can't take it anymore. 62 years of this is the worst. This is the worst totalitarian communist state in history. 62 years, same family in power. Now Fidel died, but his kids are in Cuba. Raúl now is very old. His children are running Cuba. The son-in-law heads the economy of Cuba. The son-in-law of Raúl Castro. Is the whole family still there? 3 generations, like like it's a kingdom, a totalitarian kingdom, like in the old days. It's horrible. And why have we tolerated that for so many years?
And Obama took a picture with Castro. Everyone paid share the show. That's why we do what we do. Obama went to Cuba and took a picture with Castro, a murderer. What we're reading, this is communism. Like, you look at what they did. They control the vote, shutting down a vote, they're shutting down the internet over the island so they can't communicate and just kill people like they're animals. God is going to move because they're all God's children. They're all children of God. And right here, it's amazing what the Cuban president, quote unquote, said. He said that during a live television broadcast, stated that the United States has implemented a policy of economic suffocation to provide social unrest in the country. He's blaming the U.S. for this.
The U.S. have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Spontaneous revolt. Yeah. Blaming America for that. That's what Black Lives Matter did. They blame America the same thing. Interesting enough, one of the worst ministry in Cuba is the Minister of the Interior, because they have soldiers and they are oppressing the people. They actually have an army under the Minister of Interior. The Vice Minister, the second in command, a brigadier general, quit because when he heard what they were going to do, he says, I cannot accept that you're going to be shooting and killing people in the street. So he actually quit. And now he has disappeared. By the way, there are thousands of people that have disappeared. Their family don't know where they are. Maybe they're dead, maybe they're in jail. Thousands of people have disappeared. They just go round up people and the family don't know where they are, except for those that are killed in front of their families. Of course, they know they're dead. But this is what's going on in Cuba. It's absolute genocide. And
Frank, tell them about the black caps. And I saw that, and it's a special units. I mean, they're literally driving in tanks in the street and just shooting people, just murdering people on the street.
Yeah, this is the elite of Cuba, the elite of the armed forces. They call them boinas negras because they have this black hat on their head, and they are all murderers, but they know how to kill people very well. That's the elite, and they are in the streets, brand new bosses. I've seen the video, brand new bosses. Taking these people all over Cuba, they disembark and they start shooting the elite army of Cuba. I don't know why there's so many diabolical and satanical people in Cuba. I never knew there were so many horrible Cubans as I'm seeing them now. I guess every country has them. We have here Black Lives Matter. We have Antifa. We also have satanic and diabolical people in America, but a lot of them are in Cuba. And this is but it's very interesting that a brigadier general, second in command, of the Minister of the Interior, he quits because he doesn't want to be part of that. And who knows, maybe they shoot him already for quitting. But this shows something very important. Maybe not everybody in the armed forces of Cuba is in favor of that. I just had a video of Rafael Del Pino. He was a head of the Cuban Air Force, and he defected to America. I just put that video. It's all in Spanish in Facebook, but he made a calling to the armed forces of Cuba, and he said, please do not kill the people. Join us. Get rid of Castro. If you haven't committed atrocities, nothing's going to happen to you. We're going to get the military that are shooting people. Yeah, we're going to take care of them. But if you're a military in Cuba, you're a colonel, you're a major, you never done anything like that, join us. Get rid of the Castro. Make a new Cuba. Make a prosperous Cuba away from communism. And so there are a lot of people here that have contact with the military, like him, like that guy in particular. Oh, by the way, that guy shot me and sank my boat at the Bay of Pigs. That very Del Pino, but then he defected, so now he's my brother, even though he almost killed me when I was aboard the Houston, when he shot my ship down. And the ship had to swim a mile to get to the shore, April 17, 1961. But anyway, I met with him, and I'm fine. You fought with me in 61, or you are now anti-communist, well, I support you now. And that's a very thing, because he knows a lot of people in the army. Very effective what he said in the video that I put in Facebook.
And that's what I think too. I think this is not going to stop. I mean, there's people like it's a matter of life or death. So they have nothing to gain. They have nothing to lose. Everything to gain is their life. And I think everyone has to realize this. That's why share this show. Make sure you guys get this episode out, because people do not know what's going on right now. The fake news doesn't show it at all, and many of the conservative pundits won't show it because it's brutal. I mean, they're shooting people on the street. I mean, that's why most of the videos are in Spanish. I pulled the ones for English, but I mean, they literally. I saw the one with the van. They drove up, and the mom with the kids on the street. They got out and just pop, dropped them, just killed them in the street. I mean, this is happening only 90 miles from us here, from Florida, in Cuba. That, but remember, who's really running the country right now is Obama. I mean, Obama was there with Castro. So all of you that are just ignorant about the fact of what's going on here, there's no Democratic Party left. They're communists. And what you're seeing now going on in Cuba. And Frank, take it back a little bit about how this all started. And you see all the warning signs. That's why you are an expert on educating. You've written how many books, Frank? 20. I think you've outwritten me, Frank. I believe you've written how many books?
28.
28 books, my man. How awesome is that, Kristen? Right? That's awesome. 28 books, and your core. I really call you an historian and a teacher, because you're an expert in history. So take people back on kind of the warning signs you first identified, and you see it now. That's why you and Julio and Rose and your entire team that we love dearly. Furman with his flag. I love. That's why Furman has a Second Amendment flag all the time.
Yeah, I have a Second Amendment flag right behind me too, which I got from a veteran that gave me that flag at your conference in April in Naples. I want to say something very important.
Yeah.
The Cuban people allowed the communists, when they took over Cuba on January 1959, to disarm us. Okay, that's what the communists do first. They take away your weapons. America can never allow the Second Amendment to go down the drain, because if that happens, we're done. And we in Cuba, these people have no guns because they were all taken away in 1959. That's what the Nazis did in Germany. That's what they did in Venezuela. And that's what America needs to protect, the Second Amendment, because that Second Amendment protects the rest of the Constitution of the United States. We cannot turn in our weapons. And if the Biden administration does an unconstitutional order taking away weapons, or even if it passes Congress, at least in the 22 states like Florida, Texas, that have a Republican governor and have a Republican legislature, both houses are Republicans, we're going to say that law is unconstitutional. It's not going to obey in these states. We follow the Constitution in these Republican states. And you know what? We are going to keep our guns. And these 22 governors have access to an army. It's called the National Guard. And also the police in the United States have nothing to do with Biden. It's a decentralized police. We need to keep it that way. We have county police, we have city police, and then we have state troopers. In most countries, you have a national police. So those are the things that are going to protect us from communism taking over America. It's not going to be that easy, because there were too many patriots. 80 million of us voted for Donald Trump. They stole the election with China, Russia, and Iran. They stole it. But 80 million of us voted for Trump. And now it's coming out, Maricopa County. It's going to show how they stole Arizona. They're now going to investigate Pennsylvania. They stole Pennsylvania. They're going to steal Fulton County in Atlanta, where they also stole there, because there were 10 states looking what Maricopa County was doing. So pretty soon we're going to know in America that the election was stolen.
That's right. And that's why you're going to love meeting, Frank. You're going to love meeting two people you have not met yet at our We the People Fight Back event. Dr. Linda Lee Tarver. She's an election integrity expert. She's in Detroit. She's out of Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. You are going to be blown away when she unpacks expertise about election integrity and her fire for the truth. And then Frank Valentine, he was a guest. He was an attendee at the event last time in Naples, and he owns Firearms of America. And he comes from a small country next to Pakistan. It ends with Pakistan. And he founded firearmsofamerica.org, and he will tell you the story. He's been a guest on my show. When he was very young, a young man, I witnessed about 10 to 15 people get executed on a train. They had no guns. Came to America as a Muslim. He's now accepted Christ. He's a born-again Christian, and he runs a firearm company. And it's a tremendous, and he's going to talk about the need of Second Amendment, the power of it, and what it means not to have it. So you guys, our event, We the People Fight Back event, I will keep promoting it, because it's so, make sure you guys are here. Call or text us now. Anytime you're watching this, either live now or during a replay, call or text 561-847-3467, 561-847-3467. The early bird special ends on July 20th. So make sure you guys are reserved for the event. And you can also visit WeThePeopleFightBackEvent.com. We have group discounts available. This is a huge event, more important than ever, right, Chris? The education process. Just here in Dr. Linda Lee Tarver on election integrity, Frank Valentine on firearms, and Frank expertise in communism. You're not going to get that from some rah-rah event. You're going to leave empowered, encouraged with facts. They're going to expose the problem, give you solutions to then solve the problem, and then make a difference.
I saw your interview with Frank Valentine. I saw the podcast. It was wonderful, the way he spoke. And I'm so happy that you have him there. And I know Maria, your friend Maria, is a good friend of his as well.
Yeah, no, it's going to be, you know, because when you look at this, and it's amazing what they say here when they talk about that they want to do it. It says right here, it says the order is to eliminate demonstrations and disturbances at any cost. They want to eliminate. I don't believe they're going to be able to eliminate this. I believe that people are going to keep going. Like there's going to, like you said, like you recommended Americans not to go there. But I believe some of the family members are going to, their loved ones are getting murdered and killed, and the love's going to drive them, and God's going to, it's going to be, I mean, it's going to get interesting, really interesting.
I've had phone calls when I'm at the brigade headquarters. I give tours there on Tuesday. Last time I was there, I got a call from a young guy. He said, "Are you a member of the Bay of Pigs?" "Yes, I am. We want to go to Cuba and fight. Can you give us some help? Can you give us some hints where to go?" And what did I say? Don't do it. They're going to kill you. What are you going to do landing with 30 kids with a few weapons when this whole army of Cuba is militarized, the entire nation? You're going to lose your life. Don't do that. Keep your life. No, I have to go. I have to go. I don't care. I want to go. Well, that's how people feel here because they have relatives there and they know what's happening. But of course, the Biden administration is going to try to stop every single one. But a few might go there and they probably will be killed if they do land. They'll be killed. But they want to commit suicide. You know, they want to help their sisters, their brothers, their parents that are still living in Cuba.
I'm going to show a quick video here of our governor. I pulled it off your page, and I want you to expand upon it. It's powerful.
Understanding the stakes, understanding why people are revolting, and we're siding with the Cuban people, you could probably get a lot of the policies right at that point. If you go into it thinking that they're upset about a vaccine shortage or they're upset that there's not enough groceries in the store, but they just want the regime to change a few things around and kind of rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic, if that's what you think, then you clearly have no hope of getting a favorable outcome here.
I love what he says there. If you want to rearrange the deck chairs in the Titanic, in other words, of course, the communist regime, which is Biden, he's not saying nothing. I mean, this is another area where it's just gonna we the people, the 1776 patriots, the God, country, guns, faith, family, freedom, conservatives. As we started the Conservative Business Journal, one of the main reasons is because we want to support the Second Amendment, support capitalism, support people's independence and religious freedom. This is God moving. This is. I mean, did you ever think in your lifetime you would see this in Cuba go on, Frank?
Not like this, no. This is the Biden administration. 2 weeks before this revolt in Cuba, a man by the name of Gonzalez, who works in the Biden White House in the National Security Council in head of the Western Hemisphere, Gonzalez, he spoke in CNN, and this is what he said. We want to open consulates all over Cuba. We want to increase the remittances to Cuba, which the government keeps 10, 15%, and we want to send millions of tourists to Cuba. That's what they were planning to do, to protect and help the tyranny in Cuba. That's what the Biden administration was heading. Now, of course, they cannot do it now because what's going on, but that was their plans. They openly said it, and we were all going on uproar, thinking of why would you send diplomats to Cuba when Cuba allow Russians who have a special energy machine who destroy the brains of American diplomats, their wife and children, and Canadian diplomats allowed by Cuba. It's called the Havana Syndrome. And that same energy weapon, they have blown the brains of Americans in consulates in China. They have used their energy weapons in Washington, D.C. and in Miami. And who said that? The Biden administration intelligence services. I'm not saying they said it. So why would you want to send diplomats to Cuba so they can blow their brains? More diplomats to Cuba. It's insanity. They love Cuba. If you are a communist Democrat, you want a communist Cuba, you want a communist Venezuela, you want a communist Nicaragua, you want communism all over the world. This is what's happening now. We cannot believe anything that the Biden administration says. Now he's talking, oh yeah, they have the right to demonstrate, but he never said against communism. Didn't use the word communism. He said, no, the people have the right to demonstrate against totalitarian regimes. Did not say totalitarian communist regime, because if he said that, he's insulting his own vice president, Kamala Harris, who's a communist. He's insulting Bernie Sanders, lifelong communist, insulting Elizabeth Warren, communist, AOL and the squad, and so many Democrats that are now coming. So did not even say the word communism, which is what driving the revolt.
Let that sink in. Yeah. The thief, Biden, will not use the word communist. Well, everyone let that sink in. Let that really get deep down into your soul about the war we're in right now here in America. And we the people are rising up, and we are fighting back with educating, empowering, and encouraging people. I believe this is going to wake up many of the Latinos that may not have been pro-America first, quote unquote, pro the Trump movement. I believe them right now are going to wake up a little bit to realize that, I mean, like you said, all they have to do is put the internet right over the island, the satellites, and give people the power. They literally, there's an island only 90 miles from here. I mean, Navy SEALs can swim that right across from that, right, Christy? Literally. And let that sink in. I mean, there's murdering of God's children by Castro and the communist regime going on right now as we're live tonight at 9:18 Eastern Time, July 16th, Friday evening. That's why we're doing this show. Share this, and I want to do a quick station notification. I want to thank all of you that are podcast listeners and subscribers to our audio podcast platform, and make sure those of you that have a smartphone just go into your either Apple Store, Google Play Store, search out Conservative Business Journal, subscribe. It's free. And also want to thank those of you that are on iHeartRadio, Spotify, DJRadio.com, Radio Public, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Odyssey, Stitcher, Amazon Audible, Spreaker, Player.fm, our Rumble, where we stream all of our videos. You guys, our channel is CBJ Real News, CBJ Real News. And also on Telegram. Once again, make sure you guys, we're really starting to build a Telegram profile up because we're not being censored there or suppressed. So make sure you guys do search out on Telegram. Just put in CBJ Real News. The channel will come up. Subscribe. It just says join channel. And make sure share right now on Telegram. Those of you watching, we have it streaming. You guys can share the episode right now with Frank Live, and obviously our website CBJRealNews.com. We have all of the episodes in the library, and you'll see this is Frank's, I believe, third or fourth appearance, and you'll see the most recent one is obviously tonight. It's in alphabetical order under Frank's last name, Devarano, Devarona. And we have to battle the media. I mean, look what's going on. That's why they won't give the internet to Cuba, because they're battling the media. Same as here in America, they're censoring and suppressing us because it's the same thing, guys. You're eyewitnessing this communist regime to shut down the real news. I mean, it takes one. I mean, Cuba's 11 million people. I mean, New York City at its peak had 11 million people in and out of the city. I mean, it's amazing to see that you're shutting down right now. I mean, and those are only some of the videos that you can get out of Cuba to get online and get out. I mean, there's so much going on. Nobody has the ability to get the video footage out because there's no internet.
The other thing that the Biden administration is going to do, they want to destroy a radio and TV Marti, which has always been funded by both administration. I think they want to cut it to maybe $10 million, which means they have to fire like 80% of the people there. That's a radio that gets to Cuba, tells the news to the Cubans that have no news from Cuba, and also TV, and they get that too. And he wants to destroy that because that's a way that people here can inform the Cuban what's going on in the world. And the Biden administration wants to destroy radio and TV Marti, as it's called, which being supported by both administrations for many, many years.
It's amazing too. You sent in a boatload of articles tonight. I wanted to expand upon a couple of them as we'll keep this to an hour, about an hour and 10 minutes tonight. So much knowledge, and even like that's why we called you to be in the show tonight. You guys can go through most conservative channels right now, even conservative pundits don't even cover this. Mainstream media, forget it. because they're so afraid of going against any PAC money or any rhinos on this. This is the murdering of God's children in Cuba under communist regime. And Frank Deverano is a, if you want to aggravate me about my event, who's a big name speaker you have? What is a rah-rah? Frank Deverano is a big name speaker. Julio Martinez, a big name speaker. Frank Valentine, huge. Frank, huge. Double Franks there. This is going to educate you, to strengthen you, to get the real news out. That's what we're doing at We the People Fight Back event. More than ever, you guys need to be around Frank and his strength of when he unleashes the truth. You see what he said about Kamala Harris, communism, Elizabeth Warren, communist, Bernie Sanders, communist. Joe Biden will not call Cuba a communist regime. How about that, Christy, right? He will not say that.
He'll insult his own party if he says that.
That's why God's moving.
There are some Democrats that are not communists, but many are. Too many of them are.
That's right. That's right.
As I said, 70 of them wrote a letter in support of the Cuban regime. 70 Democrats wrote a letter, which is shameful. Now, there are some Democrats that are not in favor of the Cuban regime. One of them is a Cuban American from New Jersey, Senator Menendez. Actually, Obama hated him because he fought him all the way. He was the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee under Obama, and he, of course, opposed Obama's unilateral concessions to Cuba in return for nothing at all, no quid pro quo. So Obama wanted to destroy him, and he's a Democrat, but Obama hated him. Even now, he's trying to help us, and he's a good Democrat, but there's so few of them like that, very few.
I mean, it's amazing when you wrote in this one article that we published, once again, it's on the front page of conservativebusinessjournal.com. And you said right here, like, the so-called president of Cuba, Diaz-Canel, elected by no one, gave a speech asking all of the communist, police, armed forces, elite army units of the Brigade of Rapid Response, soldiers from the Ministry of the Interior and Intelligence service officers to shoot, beat up, and arrest those brave Cubans demanding an end to the communist regime. He ordered the communist thugs to take back the streets in the many cities in the island to stop the rebellion. I mean, they're out there killing people right now. This is brutal. That's why we have to be so strong in faith. We have to expose this. We have to believe God's going to move there, because I don't think they're going to stop. There's family members who are not going to. I mean, they see this happening. I mean, I see all the. You probably sent us 25 emails. Which is great. Keep sending all the content. Many articles we're going to publish. But Frank, what else do you want to share from everything that you sent in over the last couple of days to get this information?
Well, I want to share something quite important and totally unknown in America. And this is a meeting that was held in Moscow, presided by the defense minister of the Army, General Sergei Shogun. This meeting took place in Moscow, June 23rd, 24, 221, just a few days before the revolt in Cuba. They had 700 delegates. They had 109 countries present, including 55 ministers of defense, their deputies, and chief of staff. And according to this Russian army general, the leadership of this country is wanted to equip national armies with modern weapons. Against who? Against America. And then he says Russia has renewed, and this is the danger part, military commitments to Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela in response to the three countries for more modern weapons supplies from Moscow. But what are they giving these countries? They're giving space and cyber weapons. Space and cyber weapons are giving them to Cuba. Against who? Against America. So now Cuba is worse than the missile crisis of 1962, 10 times worse. They're giving Cuba nuclear submarines, underground bases, building in Cuba, and most importantly, space and cyber agencies. They want also to install a secret submarine silos on the deep ocean floor in the Cuban territorial waters, so they can shoot us and kill us 90 miles away. This is a national immense security threat, this type of weapons. And what I'm fearful of is that Russia and China, who are deeply in Cuba, they do not want Cuba to be free. And who knows what's going to happen. Marco Rubio even said it. He says the Biden administration should tell Russia and China, do not land troops in Cuba. Why is Marco Rubio saying that? He's in the intelligence committee. He must know that those are some of the plans. But it's scary to see the type of weapons that they're putting in Cuba. They also have the strategic Tu-116 bombers that carry ballistic missiles. They are also placing in Cuba air defense system S-400. They are placing in Cuba intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear missile cruisers with powerful anti-ship missiles, hypersonic missile Zircon, sky ocean floor based launch cruise missiles. Who said that? Senator Victor Bordeaux, former head of the Russian Air Force and Special Forces in October of 2017. It is alarming. This is a very lengthy article that I share with you.
Sure.
Maybe you can put it there.
Yeah, we'll publish it.
Publish that article.
We'll publish
And the one that wrote the article should know, because she was a communist that worked in the nuclear submarine base in Cuba, and then she defected. And now she's no longer a communist, but she knows a lot of what's going on in Russia. And this is horrendous what's going on. This acquisition of this type of weapons, they also they want to use Cuba as a base to spy upon the United States with satellites. They're putting the Space Data Acquisition Center in the mountains of Sierra del Rosario in Cuba. But that is for military uses, so they can, if we have a war, imagine that, having Russia 90 miles away with nuclear submarine in hidden bases.
That's why God's going to move. That's why all the idiots, all the morons that think there's actually any democratic stuff. Biden is a communist. I mean, it's Russia and China funding all this. There's no question about it. I mean,
and then we're teaching our military critical race theory.
I mean, Tim Mills about critical race
Communist
theory.
propaganda.
You have a commercial for the military start off with gays and lesbians in a military commercial, right? It's insane. And you saw last night we had Eliana Brooks on, who we talked about the sex trafficking. She was brought over the border as a 3-year-old. She doesn't even know her birthday, Eliana. She was brought through coyotes as a sex slave, and now she runs Warrior Bride Ministries. I mean, our event, We the People Fight Back event, it's not for everyone. If you want to wave a flag and get all fired, that's great. But if you want to get deep down, get educated, get empowered, to do something, to share it and say, you know what, I have to expose this. I have to, if all of you, we come to our events limited to just 200 people. There's about 35 remaining spots, I believe, VIP tickets remaining. Out of 200, my goal is to get to 2 million from 200. 200, everybody has a circle of 10 or 15 people they know. They get empowered. They go home with their workbook, fill with information. They share it, and they share it, and they get the real news out. It's a battle for the news. I mean, look what's going on. And the Biden administration it's a criminal administration. It wasn't elected. It's a joke. That's why China stole the election. We can go on for hours about this. We know this, but now it's starting to come to fruition. Like this is not going to end in Cuba like nicely. Like this is the beginning. It's going to empower more. It's going to move I believe the Latino and the Spanish bar, the Cuban Americans even more to be conservative, to realize what's going on. Like, wow. Because most people didn't know that the average Cuban is making $20 a month. There's no water. There's no food. The hospitals are worse than beyond third world countries. I mean, guys, they are literally a communist regime, murders and kills people. And I want to thank Lucas. Lucas said, shared and joined on Telegram. Thank you, Lucas. And once again, he says, great info. And thanks for all of you guys sharing and sharing the episode and following us. And because this is what's going on in America that's what they're trying to do, is shut down the real news. Christy, any questions for Frank you want to share?
No, let me see. They have he covers everything very thoroughly.
I mean, I want everyone to realize that. And Frank, I'm praying and I'm believing. I mean, when I saw it hit the airwaves on the 11th, I said that's why we reached out to you to get some writings to get in the show. I mean, it's not going to stop. There's going to be people like they're calling you, Frank, but there's going to be some young guys who have family members there. They're gonna be like kamikaze bombers, basically.
Yes.
They're gonna give their life for the mission.
Yes, exactly. And I don't want more Cubans to die like kamikaze pilots in Japan did that.
Right.
We should not be kamikaze pilots. But yes, it's very sad. And the saddest thing of all is we're teaching communism to our troops. Communist propaganda, critical race theory, soldiers to hate each other. That we're a nation of systematic racism. That is not true. This is the best nation in the world. That's why millions of people want to come here. Why would they want to come here? We're systematic or racist. And they lie like that. And they're teaching that in the service academy. They're teaching that in all federal agencies and world corporations, and even teaching that to their employees. Very, very sad.
It's brutal.
How can we do? We need to prepare for war. We may be going to a war with China and Russia that we may lose. And that's what we need to do in the Pentagon. Prepare for war. Stop teaching communism. Prepare our soldiers to go to war so we will not become slaves of China or Russia. That's what we need to do. And that's the opposite of what they're doing.
And that's why someone else we're bringing into our event is Rebecca Friedrichs. President Trump brought her to speak at the RNC convention, the Republican National Convention, when he was running, obviously, in 2020. And out of the tens of thousands of people in the country to speak about school unions, he chose her, Rebecca, and she'll be in our event in Naples live, coming in from California. She wrote the book Standing Up to Goliath, and she sued the school unions. When I had her on my show, it was 2.5 hours. She was unleashing. Guys, what an event we'll put together, right, Christy?
Yeah.
I'm so serious about this because I feel people getting. I had a great conversation with someone today, and they said, John, I feel encouraged. I feel empowered. I actually believe I can make a difference. That's what you want people to say. So,
well,
Frank,
I want to tell you, John, that 10 of us went to the EURAPL conference in Naples, and they shared with me this is the best conference we ever attended, the very best, the 2-day conference in Naples, and I'm sure many are coming back as well.
Okay.
And I have to tell you that you and Christy do such a superb job. You ran that conference by the clock. You had 10 minutes to speak, that's all you spoke. I mean, you kept running. I mean, it was a wonderful conference. People left there enthused. They left there, they said, we have to fight. Well, you call the conference with the People Fight Back event. This is what we need to do. We need to fight back against communism in America. And you and Christy do a superb job. The quality of speakers that you had, all those families that were killed by illegal aliens, I met and talked to some of them. I think you're bringing some of them back. Yeah. I mean, this is why we cannot have illegal aliens here. And we cannot have a sanctuary nation now. It used to be sanctuary city, sanctuary state. No, it's a sanctuary state, open boundaries. Tens of thousands of people are coming here, including terrorists. We can only detain 70%, 30% come in. We don't know who they are. And then those that come in with COVID, we put them in buses, in airplanes paid by taxpayers, so they can spread COVID all over the nation, including Florida. They're coming here as well. This is an administration that in 6 months have literally destroyed the United States of America in such a short time.
In 6 months,
and if we don't put an end to that, our country is going down the drain. We have to, hopefully, maybe the Supreme Court, who acted like cowards because they needed to support Donald Trump when he wanted to say the election was stolen, and maybe they were all threatened to be killed. That's what the communists do, or maybe kill their children. Whatever happened, they were cowards. But what's going to happen when we are going to find Arizona they stole the election, we find Georgia they stole the election, Pennsylvania they stole the election, Wisconsin stole the election, and all of a sudden we find out that Donald Trump won.
That's right.
And what are we going to do? Are we going to allow this demented, crooked president to continue to stay there in power with a communist vice president who everybody hates? Even in her own office, they hate her because she screams at them. She's a tyrant. Even the people that work in Kamala Harris' office detest her. And so we're going to allow them to destroy the nation for 3.5 more years? No. We have to restore Donald Trump to office.
No,
I know that you met the pillow man. He says that we need to do it before 3.5 years. We need to put Trump back in office to save America.
I've been blessed to be able to ask to speak. We actually had an opportunity to speak this weekend somewhere else. We're like, we just have to stay. We've been on the road, traveling the country, empowering, encouraging, and speaking the truth of conservative values. I wrote a report about conservatism, and the word conserve means to protect something from harm or destruction and to guard from corruption. That's the conserve. Right now, this stolen election, these criminals occupying someone's home right now, which is the White House. It should be called the Clown House. That's not going to last. It can't last much longer. It can't go on. There's no policies. There's no administration. No. You look at the inflation. Just look at the price of food. Everything is communism. Shut down the restaurants. The whole COVID. Now LA is back with mask mandates. I've been saying this for months. You're going to see now. You got people. You're going to see it start to happen again with a lot. But God's going to move, and God's searching for the Gideon season, as I always share in the book of Judges, which is the most corrupt right now as judges in America. In the book of Judges is the story of Gideon. There was 32,000 men called who all believed in God. Obviously, they believed in God. 10,000 left in the first second, 22,000. Eventually got down to 300. And right now, I see it where a lot of people are not addressing. People are like, well, even as I say this, my stomach, the Holy Spirit in me gets infuriated. You can't move on from, you can't talk about 2022 until you expose 2020.
Absolutely.
They will steal every single election, guys. There's no moving on. You have to unpack and expose the fraudulent election process. They will steal everything. And I think Cuba, I think what's going on is this is infuriating. You know, one more point I'll ask for you, Frank. It's infuriating people to get the fire to ignite the love they have for their family, the freedom they have in their country. And it's not going to stop. Like you say here in your article, when it talks about the chant right now, it says where it says they are chanting down with communism, homeland and life, which has become a battle cry among activists after a viral music video turned the revolutionary slogan of homeland or death on its head. And you said in just several cities now, basically the whole island isn't up, which is great. Fire them up. God's going to move. I mean, you're watching biblical prophecy going right in front of our eyes.
I hope God intervenes, not only in Cuba, but in America too. And by the way, there's nothing to save us. We are going to save ourselves. Because at least when we left Cuba, we had America. But if we lose America, where are we going to go? I'm not going to move to Poland, or obviously, or Hungary. So we need to defeat communism in America. And you and Christy do such a great job. I know that you are, I don't know how you have the energy. You're on the road all the time. I see you speaking everywhere. And you know what? You always speak and you do this. You always bring a sword. Well, I got my sword too. Okay.
I'd love to bring it out. See, Christy, look at this.
Okay, this is my sword.
I love to bring that one on the plane.
Oh, there you go.
See, you always wave your sword. Well, I do have a sword too. My sword is from Spain, made of Spanish steel. See how beautiful sword I have?
That's awesome.
I'll bring it in and do like you do, like this.
That's right. The sword. That's right.
I'll compete with your sword.
That's right. That's Christy. Can you get mine real quick over there, please? That's why I talk about the sword of the Lord, in the book of Gideon, where it's the biggest warrior, and it was 135,000 people were going after just 300. And what happened was when the sword of the Lord, and it's the sword of the Lord, and it was the sound of the trumpets. They never touched someone, and 135,000 enemies killed themselves among themselves. And that's it, guys. Even if you're not a believer or Christian, quote unquote, read the 6th chapter of Gideon. 6th chapter of Judges about Gideon. So it's around verse 17, verse 18. It will inspire you to understand that God is looking for the men and women they can trust just to stand strong, be faithful, be fervent, and stick with your conservative values. And Frank, what we're fighting for is our family. I have in front of me here you've seen this, my grandparents, my aunt and uncle's immigration papers from Italy, and behind me here in the studio is their picture when I was young. And my grandfather says, you always fight for the country. 4th grade education, born in 1900. And we're not going to allow them to win. We have to do what we do. And all of you can be voices. All of you can be powerful voices out there. And that's
why it's so important for people to attend your conference. Because when they walk out of there, they come out with hope. They come out there with the desire to get involved, to work for election integrity, to speak at the school board against critical race theory, to do things, to fight against communism. Your conference is quite important. And I wish whoever is listening to us, if you haven't purchased your ticket, do it now. It is the very best conference that I've ever attended. And the one that you're planning in August 2021 is going to be just as good or better than the one you did in April. So whoever is listening to the podcast, if you don't have the ticket, get it immediately. The beautiful Naples Hilton cannot be such a beautiful hotel. And it's only for 200 people. You could probably have more than that, but you want to make it smaller so people can interact with one another. You provide great food so people have time to talk to one another. There are tables there with books for people to purchase, including mine too.
That's right.
I'll bring my books there as well. By the way, I sold 50 books at your conference.
Excellent.
50. I've never sold so many books at any conference except at yours in April of this year. So anyway, I recommend your conference to everyone because we cannot lose hope. We cannot feel that we're defeated. Nothing we can do. It's a lot of things that we can do to defend this nation, to defend our republic, our constitutional republic must be safe from all the communists, particularly the democratic communists that we have in the White House.
That's powerful. I have to give Frank a round of applause on that, right, Christy? And he knows. And Frank, Frank, bring 50 plus more books. Bring more books because, as it's very important. People need to get educated. People need to be empowered, and that's why it is so exciting for all of you. And I want to ask Frank one more question, and then we'll conclude. Make sure you guys share this episode everywhere. I appreciate you guys once again. We did start another YouTube channel. And it's been going, so you guys can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel on there. The CBJ YouTube, go to it. I believe it does, right? So you guys on Telegram can see that we have the YouTube link there on Telegram, and obviously in our emails going out. And it's important because that's what it's trying to censor us and silence us. And everyone always wants to know like this. Give us an intel drop. Give us something going on. And I always show this, and we'll probably give everyone this gift again because everyone loved it. The world famous Constitution. Frank, when I hold the Constitution of the United States up as a final point for tonight, it's like George Washington says, it's only keepers the people. The Constitution. How important is this, and why is this our saving grace in America? The only country that has one.
Well, our founding fathers were very, very wise to write that Constitution. In September 1787, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken on the date. It is the best constitution ever written. Our founding fathers were so wise they gave us the Second Amendment, not to fight our enemies, to fight a tyrannical government. That's what the Second Amendment was there, and that's why we need to keep our guns. That is the most crucial amendment because it protects the rest of the Constitution. We all should read that Constitution. We all should read it and reread it. One of the things that they're trying to do, and it was violated in 220, is that the Constitution is extremely clear as to who makes the election laws in America. It is not the federal government. It is the legislature of the states. And that was violated everywhere. And now S1, they want to take that away in violation of the Constitution and give it to the federal government so that we can have cheating every election from now on. And the other thing I want to mention before we go is that we need to eliminate all the electronic voting machines because all of them can be fixed and were indeed fixed. The worst of all is Dominion voting system. I have to tell you that in Florida, in 16 counties, Dominion voting system was used to cheat in the election. And I'm working with defendflorida.org and Election Integrity Task Force. We are finding out ballots being sent to factories where no one lived. We're finding out ballots were sent to a home with 800 square feet and 16 people voted there, which is impossible. 16 people cannot live in such a tiny home. So we are fighting a lot of election irregularity in our own state. But Trump won so big in Florida. He probably won 55, 60% of the vote. They stole a lot of votes, but he still kept 51.4. But they stole thousands of votes for Trump right here in Florida and across America. So it was a horrible election. The Democrats stole the election. And in Florida, there was a lot of stealing going on. In Florida, Zuckerman sent money to the Democratic counties. We still have some of that money left to Miami-Dade County, Broward, and Palm Beach. Your county is predominantly Democratic. Where in all of those counties, they got money from Zuckerman so they could cheat in the election. So we got to stop all of that. And so far, our great governor and our legislature have not eliminated the electronic voting machines, especially the Dominion voting system that was purchased by China for $400 million just before the election, and they even have a server in a Chinese city. And Dominion voting system uses the software Smartmatic that is used in Venezuela all the years to steal elections. How can we allow Dominion voting system being used in 16 counties in Florida and in 30 states of our union, including Puerto Rico, to steal the election? We cannot allow that anymore. So we need to do something about that. And we're working with the governor, and we're working with legislatures that I know in Miami-Dade County, and whoever is listening to this in Florida, you need to work with state legislatures as well in Florida, or whatever this is being heard, if it's outside Florida, so that we eliminate all electronic voting machines, including ES&S, including all of them, because all of them can be hacked, and all of them were indeed hacked, and that's how they stole the 220 election. So we cannot have them again. We need to go back to paper ballots, or we need to have a system, maybe have a ballot that invisible ink can also be duplicated. We need to really work hard so that the next election, the midterm election coming in a year, is not stolen again, or the presidential election in 2024.
Right. So it's so important. So much information, so much news we have to get out. And let me just show you this little quick picture here. This is the We the People Fight Back, guys. I get so excited because I know Frank is going to change lives, and I believe Frank is right there on where.
Right there.
There you go, Frank. Right there.
I'm right next to the POW from Vietnam.
That's right, Captain Wayne. Guys,
Captain Wayne. That's right.
Those are some of the biggest names in the conservative movement, the patriotic movement. It is going to be what an epic event, right, Christy?
Yep.
So make sure you guys have your tickets reserved. August 20th, August 21st. Gourmet food, VIP dinner, special awards, entertainment, training program, our world famous name tags we give out. You have an opportunity to interact with all the speakers, take pictures with them. It's going to be an amazing. I'm saying this because people are getting beat up out there. People are getting scared, nervous, and beat up out there. So it's so important. Then I want to show one more quick little video. It's kind of our We the People Fight Back it's about a 60-second video, and then we'll conclude.
Very powerful video. Love your video.
Thank you, Frank. I'll post that on Facebook too and tag you. But what's exciting is the man behind that. His name is Evan Laszlo, right? Is Evan's last name? And he's been part of our team now close to three and a half years, almost 4 years, right? Give or take. And he used to live in Canada, Frank.
Wow.
And his family, because we ran an ad, we wanted a young person of audio, video. He does all the podcasts, all the editing, everything you see we do. He's done it all for the years. What's interesting is his mom, his family they own successful retail stores. Long story short, communism comes in Canada. They sold their house in Canada. And they now live in Tampa. They moved to Florida. Their parents are moving in August. Evan just got here to America last Friday. And I can't wait to bring him up on stage and tell this story, right? He may pass out and faint. But he had to go walk his grandparents' dog because his grandparents couldn't leave the house to walk the dog because they traveled and they were over a certain age. And then if he was outside in the streets, the cops came by, had to go in the store, go back in. They got out of Canada because Canada is complete, because of Trudeau, complete communism.
Yeah, no question about that. Justin Trudeau is a Marxist, and that some people think he's the son of Fidel Castro because Pierre Trudeau's wife loved communism, and she used to travel alone and met with Fidel Castro. And I've seen pictures of Fidel Castro at the same age as Justin. They look alike.
Wow.
So a lot of people think he's actually the son of Fidel Castro, because Pierre Trudeau's wife, she believed in free love, and she loved Castro and traveled alone many times to Cuba. And when you see the picture of a young Castro and compare that to a young Trudeau, they look the same. And when Fidel Castro died, who may have been his father, he praised Fidel Castro. Even the Canadians got insulted. He praised this great leader from Cuba, that everybody loves him. It was sickening to listen to this man praising Fidel Castro, but it may have been his father. Who knows?
Looks just like him.
Yeah.
Castro was praising. Wow.
Trudeau was praising Fidel Castro
Yeah.
when Fidel Castro died, praising him all over. The Canadians got mad at him for saying that. Even the Canadians, even the liberal Canadians got angry that how can we have our own prime minister praising a bloody dictator that have put in jail 300,000 people and have shot 30,000 women and children, shoot him in the wall. How can you praise such a dictator, such a horrible dictator? And he did. He praised him to high heaven.
Talk about inside drop, Frank Deverano, my man. I love you, man. If you weren't married to Haiti, I might marry you, but I'm not that kind of way. God,
you are my brother, John. And
somebody asked, what can they do?
You are my brother, John, and so is Christy. Christy is my sister.
You're awesome. You're
great guys. You're great patriots, both of you.
Thank you.
And I love you both for all that you do for America and all you're trying to do to save our constitutional republic.
And I'm excited.
Keep on working, brother. Keep on working.
I'm excited for our town hall on communism. God knew when we set that date. God knew this was going to happen in Cuba. We're going to be at Julio's office with Frank, with Rose, with Furman, with
July 26th, right?
July 26th. We're all set.
July 26th is actually a very good day to pick because that is the July 26th communist movement that Fidel Castro founded. So it's a good day to have that town hall meeting on communism right here in Miami in Julio's studio. That'll be great. I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be. I'm looking forward to Rose's food. Rose, did you talk to Rose today?
Rose is on.
Rose is on. Rose is cooking some special food. We love Rose.
Vegetarian food for you and Christy.
Right.
Great vegetarian food.
Christy wears what do you call the hair things? The hair scrunchies, the red, white, and blue ones. Rose gave to Christy. She wears them all the time. But Frank, a lot of people ask, what can they do for the people of Cuba?
What they can do to the people of Cuba, obviously, is work, write letters to members of Congress, Republican members of Congress. I think it's a waste of time to write to Democrats. Yes, maybe try to involve the OAS, Organization of American States. By the way, Luis Almagro is speaking harshly against what Cuba is doing. So he is working for Cuba, for the Cuban free people. He's the head of the Organization of American States. European Union has always helped Cuba. They give them money all the time. But even them, they're now appalled by what they're seeing. So, if they have any influence with the European Union, the OAS, the only thing that Cuba will understand is hard economic sanctions. No matter what you say, if it's not backed by a break of diplomatic relations, harsh economic sanctions, maybe an embargo on Cuba, that will send a message to Cuba to stop committing genocide. Nothing else is going to work. If all they say is, please stop killing people, don't do it again, they're going to continue to do it. It has to be backed by actions. I'm not expecting anything from Biden, but perhaps with a lot of push from the Republicans, even among some Democrats that are not communists, perhaps we can give free internet to Cuba. Even DeSantis said, you don't have to do it. Florida can do it. Well, give the okay to our governor to do it. There are certain things that can be done.
Frank,
that is one of them. Yeah.
You've been writing a lot this week. You want to write a letter up, like we published a letter today that Pastor Rodney Howard Brown wrote about the city of Tampa, because the Capitol Police is going to Tampa. We sent it out in our email. It's on our homepage also. I'll be re-emailing out to all the Floridians to get this letter out to Governor DeSantis about the Tampa and the Capitol Police coming to Tampa, which is another whole show in and of itself. But Frank, if you want to put together a letter that all Americans can write to their Republican congressional representatives, write it up to us and we'll send it and we'll get it out all over, because one secret weapon we do have is our email list. Is we own that. Zuckerberg doesn't own that, so you can't censor that. So
okay.
So the picture of Trudeau, and I'm going to put this up. Chrissy just did it. Let's see.
I wish I had the picture when look at them.
Wow.
This is Castro and that's Trudeau. Now tell me they don't look alike.
Drop, baby.
I mean, when I saw those pictures, I said, and then knowing that Trudeau's wife loved Fidel Castro, and she traveled alone many times, left her husband back in Canada, and she met with Castro, went fishing together. Castro has hotels everywhere in Cuba. They look the same to me. People have seen those pictures say, my God, he's definitely the son of Fidel Castro. Because we have to do a DNA test, to know for sure, but he certainly looks alike. Does it
Okay.
look to you alike?
Catherine's wife was what? Free love?
Yeah, she was. She believed in free love. She slept with many men besides her husband, but especially with Fidel Castro. She was a communist, and she loved Fidel Castro because he was a communist tyrant also. And many times she went to Cuba by herself and spent many weeks with Fidel Castro, weeks and days at a time. So maybe they had an affair there. And look at praise Trudeau. Maybe that's why Pierre Trudeau praised Justin Trudeau praised Castro when he died. Maybe he was praising his own father. That's my view. I think he's definitely Castro's son when you look at the pictures, especially. And that's why he's a communist. That's why he's a communist. He's a red diaper baby like Barack Obama, like Valerie Jarrett. The parents are communists, so they're called Kamala Harris. Father and mother were communists. She's a red diaper baby too, like Barack Obama also. Red diaper baby is what we call when you are the children of communists. And that is what Justin Trudeau is, in my opinion.
Well, it's your opinion. I agree with your opinion, right, Christy? That's
Right.
Well, Frank, thank you so
I'm
much.
glad your friend got out of Canada and moved to Tampa.
Evan, you're going to meet him.
Okay, I'm looking forward to meet him. By the way, my daughter is married to a Canadian. Mark Symes is his name. He's married to a Canadian. Very good stepfather for my grandson. Lovely guy. Born in Canada. Yeah.
Born in Canada. Canada's a great country. They love the country, but communism. They couldn't go out. They couldn't buy. You go in a store, you couldn't buy baby. You would send pictures to us. You couldn't buy office supplies. You couldn't buy baby clothes. You only buy essentials. Literally inside the Walmart that was open, they actually put construction tape down the aisles.
Yeah. What happened in Los Angeles, in California, happened in all of Canada, because my son-in-law mother lives in Canada, and she couldn't get out of her house either. So yeah, they really oppress the Canadian people, just like the communists in California, New York, Oregon, Washington, all the things that they did there. The same thing they did in Canada too, exactly the same.
And I will let you go and let you go back to your family. I do. The center picture, Neva, you're right. They look exactly alike. That center picture, they look like brothers. Like if you take a picture of me and my brother, even when I look in the mirror sometimes, I look like my brother. That's my brother. They look, that's his son.
Look at the nose, look at the eyes. I mean, my God, they could be no more identical that you see that picture. When they were the same age, obviously, Castro was young there, and so is Trudeau. They look the same to me, especially the middle picture. You're right. The middle picture is the one that they look. And look at with the mustache, the picture in the bottom. Trudeau with the mustache, and look at Castro with the mustache. They look the same also.
That's awesome. That's why. That's not awesome in a positive way, but this is why we do what we do. You're not going to hear this on Fox tonight, right, Tristan? You're not going to hear this on most of the so-called conservative radio, conservative pundits. And I want to give it. Obviously, when I have guests on, I want to thank all of our sponsors. I want to thank those that make this show possible, that support our events, sponsor our events. Make sure you guys do we have a great sponsorship opportunity. Obviously, you heard Frank. Our attendees or our events are very pro-capitalism. They support the businesses that make this all possible. And Frank's going to love meeting Stan from South Carolina coming in with the STZ network. He's actually investing serious amount of money building a social media platform. He's one of our supporters coming in from South Carolina. You're going to enjoy meeting Stan.
Okay.
So we're going to have a phenomenal event, guys. And make sure you're here once again. We the People Fight Back event. Maybe you can't make it. Support. Pick up 5 or 10 tickets, and we'll put people in a room for you. Become a sponsor, become a supporter. People leave educated and empowered. It's not 9 million people all disorganized. It's a structured event to educate and empower people. So make sure you're here. You guys know what to do. Call or text us. The early bird special ends the 20th of July, which is 4 days from now. And it's a month out, the event. I mean, it's a little over a month out, so it's way out. So, guys, call or text 561-847-3467 or visit WeThePeopleFightBackEvent.com. Frank, unbelievable episode. Thank you for your wisdom. God bless you, my brother. I look forward to seeing you live in a week from this Monday. We'll be down in Miami.
Looking forward to seeing you and Christy July 26th here in Miami.
That's right. That's excellent. Thank you, my brother. Good night. God bless. God bless you, Frank. Thank you.
God bless both of you, you and Christy.
Thank you. I tell you guys, that's why we do what we did. So, Christy, how about that with Frank? Just unleashing. I mean, what's going on right now in Cuba? That's why, guys, you have to share this episode. Make sure you subscribe to all the podcast platforms are on. Like on the YouTube channel. Share it on Telegram, because I just started a few weeks ago on Telegram. You know, we're not censored there, so make sure you guys do. If you don't have Telegram, just download the app on your phone, and then just search out CBJ Real News. That's our channel. CBJ Real News. We have comments open on our Telegram channel, so you guys can follow us on Telegram. But with that said, make sure you're here at our event. I get so empowered. I mean, who would have thought? Only God knew that this was going to go on in Cuba, and we're going to have that town hall, which is going to be a show. We're going to be live in Hialeah with Frank and Julio and Rose and Furman and handpicked conservative, amazing champions that we love dearly that all experience Cuba and all experience communism. And it's going to be a great show on Monday night, July 26th. So make sure you guys obviously stay tied in. Frank's article is live on our homepage right now, conservativebusinessjournal.com. When you go there, if you're not in our email database, submit your email, and that's how you stay in touch with us. Guys, with that said, good night. God bless. And we are praying supernatural protection and favor for all of our Cuban friends and loved ones and family members in Cuba. And I'm giving them the strength. Keep fighting. Keep fighting back. Keep fighting. Keep doing what needs to be done. And we're going to expose the communist deadly regime. And I will, obviously, all of you know, we're not moving on from 2020. Biden is not the president, didn't win. I will never recognize him in my news station. I will never put the word Biden and president together. He's a criminal. He did not win. With that said, guys, good night. God bless you. Whatever we can do, we're here for you. Have a great night. Thank you. Good night.